Okay, this evening, council met in closed session and we rose from this meeting at 5:28. During the closed session, direction to staff was provided regarding potential property disposition matters in Ward 1. And so I will now call the meeting back to order in a regular session at 5:32. Just before we get started on our first item, just a quick word. It is the last meeting of the year. And as I said, what a year it's been. I want to take a quick moment to acknowledge all of the efforts of staff and recognize their council contribution as well. I think staff, we talked about pivoting a lot the first year, and I think this year was probably a pirouette because sometimes it felt like we start one thing and we swing around again, and they did not miss the beat. And I think all of the residents know that the services were provided exactly as they ought to have been. I know some of the rules and regulations and things are a bit of a hard pill to swallow. We were all disappointed at times about which way things were going, but I think we're getting closer to the end of things. And in any case, I think staff has been wonderful in making sure that everything that needs to be done is done in a timely way and in cost-effective matters. So kudos to our staff and our gratitude to all of them. And thank you, councillors, for all your efforts this year. It's been a lot of work. I know sometimes it's really hard to get your head around things when we're talking on screens and back and forth. It's just not the same as being with the public and everybody the same way. But again, thank you for all of the work you've done. And just to end, I want to say that everyone should have a good holiday break, enjoy their time with their family as much as possible. Encourage everyone to be safe, and I hope to see everyone back here happy and healthy in 2021. So with that, let's just move into delegations. We have a presentation from the South Central Ontario Region Economic Development Corporation, and Kim Earls, who heads that organization up, is going to present and do an update presentation for us this evening. And I see the logo. Oh, I see. There. Good evening, Kim.
Good evening.
The floor is yours. Welcome. And I think your presentation will probably be up in a minute, right?
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me here this evening. It's always such a pleasure to connect here at Middlesex Center. So I'll just jump right into my presentation. And just as a reminder, SCORE has 3 strategic priorities.
Kim, just one, they're trying to get that presentation put up so people can see it.
Okay, perfect.
One moment.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, she can. Okay, so you can share your screen.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to see that.
Here we go. Can you guys see
see
that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate the technology tips. Lots of evenings I can use all the help I can get in that regard. So just as a reminder.
Big enough.
Oh, it's not big enough? How's that?
I'm just.
Better?
Okay, the clerk says that they can bring it up on their screen in a bigger way, I think.
Oh, that even better. Even
One
better.
moment, please.
No problem.
Here. Okay. Go ahead. You may proceed. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So we'll just jump to the next slide, please. And so this, our SCORE priorities are infrastructure supporting economic development, human capital supporting economic development, and focus on sector development is agriculture and food. And so this last while, we, in our infrastructure portfolio, we have spent a significant amount of resources on transportation component of that priority area. So first, as many of you may remember, probably the last 5 to 6 years, we have been working really closely with Minister and the Ministry of Transportation to encourage them to undertake a master transportation plan for southwestern Ontario, in which the SCORE region is a part of. And of course, we were very pleased a couple years ago when the minister announced that they indeed were undertaking that as part of their provincial planning review. And as such, we did have a SCORE board member appointed to the Ministry of Transportation Mayor's Task Force. And this allows us a chance and an opportunity to compile information from across the region and have that direct line to the task force, which is feeding information directly into the MTO for the Master Transportation Plan. I know definitely in Middlesex County, you have other also appointed to that task force, which is also very exciting, and we're very happy to hear about that. And then we've spent a fair bit of time on community transportation. Many communities across the region had transportation systems running either independently as part of a targeted audience, whether that be for healthcare or for education. And then some were dependent on the community transit grant program through the province, and some were supported through other financial means. And so with that in mind, we created the Southwest Community Transit. And that is a network of community transit systems across the region. And really what that was intended to do was to provide us connection points so that we weren't operating in silos next door to each other. And that also created some opportunities for efficiencies across the region for transportation, some cost savings and joint RFPs and technologies and purchases, and then certainly connectivity to larger centers and just learning from one another, having the availability to share experiences and expertise across the systems. And then finally, in that transportation piece, we have also focused on short line rail with supply chain issues being what they have been. We feel it's very important to have our short line and rail assets that are a crucial part of that supply chain up and running as much as possible. The area that we focused on to start with is the Cayuga subdivision, which runs south of you here. And that's basically runs from St. Thomas in Elgin County over into Norfolk County, into the eastern end of Norfolk County. And along that line are several businesses, most of those being in manufacturing and in agriculture. And certainly probably the widest spread is the IGC plant in Elmer, which is the grain collection facility for ethanol that certainly a lot of corn and grain farmers would attend. And then we further continue to support broadband efforts and also energy in the continued expansion of the natural gas program. And that's really important across the region, definitely to ensure that we have affordable gas and access to energy for agricultural operations and residents. Next slide, please. This is just a little bit more about the Southwest Community Transit. So the image on the left, you can see it shows roughly where the members are. So you can definitely see we do have some members outside of the traditional SCORE region. But of course, you know, in the interest of being inclusive and learning from one another, we were happy to have those partnerships established. And then the image to the right denotes a project that we undertook over the last year, where we were able to obtain some RED funding through OMAFRA, and we looked at job seeker sites to support workforce and transit to and from work, to both support our businesses and those job seekers looking for work. So what we did was we took all of the transit routes across the region and uploaded that to those job seeker sites. And in the case of Middlesex, that was uploaded to the local jobs hub, which is hosted by the Elgin Middlesex Oxford Workforce Planning Board. And so you can see it's a little tricky in this photo. It's a little small, but you can see all the jobs are in the round circles, and then the colored lines and the stops are noticed in the balloons. So that was quite a large undertaking, and we're hoping to expand that over the next year and a half. We have applied for some additional funding, and hopefully we're able to do that. Next slide, please. And then for human capital, early on in the pandemic, we acted as a coordinating organization in getting information to our MPs and MPPs and those in cabinet positions, issues regarding seasonal agricultural workforce coming into the country. There was, as you may remember, lots of confusion, lots of different regulations and rules that were unfamiliar, and so we acted as a real coordinating organization at that time. And that certainly we continue to provide information through you all as council members, as you provide that to us up to those other levels of government. But what we noticed out of that was that we were seeing some decline in domestic agricultural workforce. So in an effort to support some more domestic agricultural workers, we continue to support the Agribusiness Management Program, which was initially created and developed in the Fanshawe Simcoe campus, and we were lucky enough to be a part of that. And it is now also offered at the London campus. As well, we were able to partner with Conestoga College, again, through an investment through the Canadian Agricultural Partnership Fund. We received some funding, and the Agricultural Equipment Operator Program was developed. This was initially started as a 2-year, 16-week pilot program. So it had its first cohort in January of 2020, and its second one will just be starting January 2021. And there was such an uptake of students and employers looking to hire students right out of the program that is now in the process of becoming a full-time certificate program. So that was certainly exciting. And further, we were able to partner with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture in a program that they undertook called Feeding Your Future. And again, that was aimed at building domestic agricultural capacity. And so SCORE's part of that is we worked with 7 commodity organizations and created 9 videos specific to that commodity organization on capacity building and training within that certain sector. And so those videos will can be found on the Feeding Your Future website. Links can also be found on the SCORE website and on the Ontario Federation of Agriculture website. Next slide, please. And additionally, we did have an opportunity over the last year to work again with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture and 6x16 in the project Always in Season. And SCORE's portion of that was to create a flip book, Where Local Lives in South Central Ontario region. And it is a book that celebrates agriculture and local food across the region. And you can download that or look at it online as a flip book. And additionally, we work with 6x16, which is the educational portion of the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, and created a downloadable flip book and coloring book. And that coloring book is filled with art submitted from regional artists. So that was certainly a fun project to help celebrate agriculture across the region. Next slide, please. And finally, in our advocacy, so over the last year, we've had 25 delegations and meetings with cabinet ministers regarding issues that are specific to this region. And it certainly doesn't stop at the delegation meetings, although those are very important. And I've had the opportunity over the past 2 years to join with Middlesex County Council in participating in in those delegations with the council members. So that's been fantastic. And we continue to make sure that those lines of communication both ways are open, even after and before the conference meetings or the delegation meetings that we have. As well, we continue to collaborate with other organizations across the region, such as the Elgin Middlesex Oxford Workforce Planning and Development Board, with workforce being such a critical issue for economic development right now across the region. And over the last year, we had the opportunity to work with the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus. They received some funding to access some data, and SCORE was able to provide some assistance and support in taking that data, disseminating it, and providing it in community profile packages for the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus, and it went out to all members. And if anyone wants additional county or municipally specific information, we still have that data, and we're able to provide that either through Western Ontario Wardens Caucus or directly through SCORE. And finally, we also provided 12 letters of support to other organizations that were able to obtain funding to support their initiatives and projects that were in alignment with the SCORE's strategic plan. And the dollar value of those projects combined was just a little over $1 million. Next slide, please. And then just a little bit about the SCORE partnership. So certainly we do believe that partnership, being a partner of SCORE, creates some immediate value, but more importantly than that, it's cumulative over time. The areas and the initiatives that we focus on are typically larger and more long-term in nature, and so some years there's less maybe to report on, but there's still activity and movement forward on those initiatives, and the value is really also cumulative over time. So creating transportation networks and broadband and all those things that you all know, definitely does take some time. And so we appreciate you taking the long view on that as an important partner. One of the other things about SCORE is it's a 1 in 5 vote at the board table. So councillors are appointed through the county, and you have that 1 in 5 opportunity to influence decisions and projects that we do. I think we're positively recognized as a region, and we're able to tackle projects, again, that are a little bit larger in scale than maybe one municipality could take on. And yet we are small enough and acting as good neighbors that we have the ability to reach consensus and move forward on areas of focus that need addressing. And again, that ability to attract funding on a larger regional scale. Next slide, please. And then finally, this is a slide that I know underpins all of the work that the SCORE board certainly undertakes, and I believe that to be true with each of our councils, such as yourself, is that we have accomplished a great deal as a 5-county partnership, and we are good neighbors working together for the good of all. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much again for having me tonight. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. I'll look to council then. Any questions, clarification? Don't see any hands. Well, then in that case, I'll say thank you, Kim, for the presentation and the overview on all the infrastructure advocacy and communications and all the sector pieces that you've touched on tonight. There's a lot of work going on, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time tonight, and look forward to next time.
Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday, everyone.
You as well. Stay safe and enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Good night. All right, the motion before us is for the adoption of the minutes, and it is that the minutes of the special council meeting held on December 8th, 2021 be adopted as printed. Do I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Scott and Councillor... Oh, Deputy Mayor Brennan, I see your hand. Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, everyone. Now we have a consent agenda before us. Before I look at the motion, there are 13 items. Is there anything anyone would like to ask about or raise with regard to anything in that list? Deputy Mayor?
Just a comment on a couple of things. The speed radar results, I think we all hear from residents the speed of traffic on the roads. And if you look at this speed radar results, it shows that majority of the vehicles aren't going as fast as people think, perhaps. And I think this garners a lot of information for us and for Rob on the roads that what the speeds are. And I think that results in a lot of answers to residents that they may not like. But I think the proof is in the pudding, per se, that the numbers don't lie. The other is, and I'm not sure if Rob's there or not, but the boundary roads along with Southwold and that, is that going to result in us having to spend more money on these roads since they're not going to be shared, that they're going to be more that we have to deal with them ourselves?
There he is. Rob, did you hear the question?
I did. Yep. Sorry, I was trying to answer it, but I wasn't on yet. So
that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that you actually know what we're asking you to. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So through you, Mayor, to Deputy Mayor. Yes, that is correct. So if we do take on some more responsibility, there would be some small costs associated with that. So we'll work with Southwold and Oneida to see how that's going to move forward. We did go through legal to try to establish the ownership of these roads, and it is different than expected. But we've looked at this thoroughly, and this is the opinion that came back, is that we actually have the ownership of these roads and therefore the responsibility.
Okay, and Councillor Cates?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Rob. Thank you for the speed radar. Hopefully everybody's reading these results. I had a question about the stop sign. I'm just wondering, do you just one day change the sign, or do you notify anybody in the area close by that it's changing?
So we have the new stop signs going up. Those are the ones in question.
Well, the one in Kilworth where you're actually taking it out and putting it in somewhere else.
Oh, the relocation. Okay. Yes. Yep. So typically we would, for a period of time, and I can't remember if it's 30 days, but there would be a new sign put across it, right? So there'd be something to differentiate it from the normal stop sign.
Thank you.
Okay. And Councillor Heffernan?
Yep, through the mayor to Rob, actually. I did want to ask about the boundary roads, but that's already been answered. The other one I had was the salt management plan. And I think it says in there that that on gravel roads, you just do the I forget how it's worded, but cutting kind of with the grader or something. But is that hard and fast? Like you will still put sand on there if there happens to be a really icy day.
Yeah, it would depend on the event, but if possible, they would try to blade it as opposed to adding more material. So you're right. It wouldn't be hard and fast, right? The roads are patrolled, and if there's an advantage putting down other material like sand, then we would do so.
Yep. Okay. Thanks. I was just concerned about buses and everything. So, thank you.
Is there anyone else? Oh, I don't see any more hands. Thank you, Rob, for the answers to those questions. So the motion before us is that items 7.1 through 7.13 listed under the heading of consent agenda for December 15th, 2021 be adopted as printed. A mover, please, and a seconder. Councillor Cates, Councillor Heffernan, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, Moving now to item 8.1. I'll look to Deputy Mayor Brennan, if you would like to amend a motion.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I would like to amend the motion for the bylaw to pass the budget to take $125,000 out of the tax reserve fund to lower the percentage increase from 2.76 down to 2.16. My reasonings for this are, we still don't know county council's budget for this year, or the Middlesex Board of Education. Being at 2.76 is almost double from last year. We're still in the pandemic. A lot of people are still finding financial difficulties. There is over $2.8 million in this reserve fund. So to take $125,000 out isn't going to impact it that great. And we still have a good, healthy fund there for future needs, especially when the reassessment comes forward. We may need more of it at that point in time. But at this point in time, I'm just asking you to take $125,000 out of that reserve fund to bring the tax rate down to 2.16 for this year. Thank you. And I'll make that a motion if someone wants to second it.
Councillor Cates. Okay. Now, before we take so the motion's on the floor, what we're going to do now is open it up for discussion, questions from council before we table the vote. Oh, sorry. Did you want to read the motion?
Through the chair, if I could, I'd like to read back the motion as printed, and if everyone has agreed to that wording, then we can proceed to debate. So as I understand, the proposed motion is that Council Bylaw 2021-117 to adopt the current budgetary estimates for the year 2022 be amended to reflect an overall tax rate increase of 2.16%. And that Bylaw 2021-118 to establish a levy for the year 2022 to adopt tax rates for 2022 and to provide for the penalty and interest and default of payment and the collection thereof be amended to reflect an overall tax rate increase of 2.16%. And that the additional funds for this tax rate increase reflects a $125,000 decrease from the staff recommendation, and that this dollar amount figure be taken from the staff rate stabilization fund. And finally, that council approved bylaw 2021-117 and 2021-118 as amended.
Okay, thank you for that. So I see also we have our Director of Corporate Services, Tiffany Farrell, on the screen and in attendance. I'll look to see if there's anyone who has any question about this or comment or discussion. Councillor Heffernan.
I just have a comment. I was thinking about this and I thought, well, you know, right now we might be able to afford it per household. When MPAC kicks in, who knows where we're going to be at. However, on the other hand, this particular budget also includes a little over, I think it was around 150,000 or something like that, related strictly to vandalism. And I, for one, am not really happy about paying for that. So I agree with, for different reasons, I agree with Deputy Mayor Brennan's motion.
Okay, thank you for your rationale. Is there anyone else who'd like to jump in? I don't see anyone. Is there anything that you'd like to add, Tiffany, or comment, or did we miss anything?
No, through you, Mayor DeVete, that covers everything. I would just like to let everyone know that the budget booklet as presented tonight will be modified and presented to the public as a final document in January. In the new year, it'll be posted to the website and we will advertise that back with this information in it. So we will be updating that, but thank you.
Okay, so last call. I don't see anything. So the motion as read by our clerk is on the floor. I'll call the vote, please. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Okay, and we can move on then to the next item. Thank you for that. 8.2, proposed budget impacts. The motion before us is the compliance report for expenses excluded from the 2022 budget outlined in the report CPS 59/2021 as requirement of Ontario Regulation 284, number 09, passed under the Municipal Act be received for information. We'll just table that. If I could have a move and seconder, please. Councillor Arts and Councillor Shipley. Any discussion? Oh, sorry, Tiffany, can you present your report first? Sorry.
Yeah, so through you, Mayor DeVete. So this is a standard report that I do every year. We do our budget as a cash flow. It's a cash-based budget. However, for our financial statements, it's an accrual based system. So this report takes specific items as required under the Act and adjusts that within the budget to ensure that it's still financially sound. It is. One thing I would like to note, with the change in the $125,000 coming from the Tax Rate Stabilization Reserve Fund, there will be small changes in the amounts in this report. For example, the amounts raised on taxes will decrease by $125,000. The revenue for the budget would increase by $125,000. And the transfers from reserve funds would increase by $125,000. It does not impact the outcome of the report, but I will be updating it in the budget booklet. This document is included as a supplementary information in the budget booklet, and it will include the updated figures when we post it in January. So I do want to make that clarification. And if council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, questions for Tiffany on this report? I don't see any, so I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, Tiffany, do you want to do the next report then? 8.3, please.
Yes. So through you, Mayor DeVete, this is our development charges update study. And at this time, I have not received any additional questions from the public regarding the development charge study. This was presented back in November by our representative at Watson's and Associates. And there were some questions that were addressed during that meeting, but since that time, there has been no additional questions or any items noted. Attached to the report is an outline of every department and their impact and the changes that are occurring in each. And so I would direct you to make sure that you are reading what those changes are. The one item I do want to remind council and the public, this is a 2021 development charge study amendment. And so what we are doing here is we're amending our 2019 bylaw in 2021. The changes that we're proposing in 2021 will be taking effect in 2019, essentially in our new updated study. That means that the items that we've added have been put into 2019 dollars. And that's where you're going to see a little bit of a difference between what we're proposing for 2022 versus what is in there for the 2019 study as amended. Every year, the 2019 study is indexed each year by the Construction Price Index, the third quarter. And so you'll notice that from 2019 to 2020, 2020 to 2021, and now from 2021 to 2022. But for January 1st, 2022, it's not only the index of 11.6%, which is the Construction Price Index, it is also using the new amended figures from our study here from 2021. So those are some of the changes. So there's a lot of numbers, but if anyone does have any questions, they can come and let me know if I can help out. And that goes to members of the public as well. I know our chief building official, Arnie Marsman, has been working with the development community quite closely, and he is also an expert in this, that he can help anyone out. That's the only notes I'd like to make with respect to the development charge study update.
Okay, thank you for that report. Are there questions for Tiffany? Okay, it looks like everyone's fine with the report as it is. Could I have, sorry, I didn't read the motion yet. That report CPS 62, 2021 development charges amendment be received, and that the 2021 amended development charge bylaw 2021-119 be adopted. Could I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Scott and Councillor Shipley, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. And that's everything for Tiffany. So next we're going to 8.4, which is an exception for an application for a minor variance. And we're going to have Marion on the screen here. Would you like to present your report, please?
Sure, thank you. The purpose of this report is to provide council with a recommendation related to the exception request filed by Monteith Brown Planning Consultants on behalf of Colombo Developments, Inc. The exception request would permit application for a minor variance for the land known as 175 Stone Drive and Block 26. The exception is being applied for since the Planning Act has a 2-year timeout provision, which removes the ability to apply for a minor variance following the passing of an applicant-initiated zoning bylaw amendment. However, the Planning Act also does allow for an exception like this by resolution to allow for variances to proceed on a case-by-case basis, or for certain classes, or for all variances to be accepted. So the applicant is requesting the exception to allow the variance file A4221 to be heard by the Committee of Adjustment tonight. Staff acknowledged that the effect of the minor variance would reflect the approved site plan and the plan of condominium for the construction of 68 townhouses on 175 Stone Drive and for the future development on Block 26. The existing zoning on the property was applied across the entirety of the site. However, in the case for a vacant land condominium, the zoning is to be applied on a unit or lot by lot basis. As such, the variances are being requested by the applicant. So staff are of the opinion that the 2-year timeout provision would not provide any benefit to the municipality in the situation, and that the minor variance application would facilitate the development of the site as agreed upon by the municipality. As such, staff recommend that council grant an exception and permit the minor variance application file A4221 regarding 175 Stone Drive and Block 126, despite an application being filed within the 2-year of the zoning bylaw amendment on the lands. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you for that report. I'll look to Councillor. Are there any questions? I don't see any, and I'm going to just note that should this be accepted here, we'll be hearing from the applicants in the next section of the meeting. Okay, so I will look for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Cates and Councillor Heffernan, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Marion. Moving to 8 oh no, that was it. Sorry, we're going now to the Committee of Adjustment. So we need a motion to move into Committee Adjustment, and that would be that Council adjourn its regular meeting in order to sit as a Committee of Adjustment under Section 45 of the Planning Act as amended to consider the minor variance applications listed on the December 15th, 2021 agenda. So members of the public that are participating virtually in this evening's public meetings have previously provided notification to the municipal clerk in advance of the meeting. If anyone wishes to receive further notification on any of the minor variance applications being considered tonight, I ask that you please send an email to planning@middlesexcenter.on.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that comments expressed in written material presented are a matter of public record for full disclosure. If you have questions on any of the applications that are being heard this evening, we ask that you direct those to the appropriate planner on the file. Members of the public that have requested to speak will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address council and provide comments on the applications. In keeping with our procedural bylaw and our R-zone policy, I would remind all of our participants to please use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. So the order of proceedings is the same for each of the applications, and it is as follows. First, I will ask the planner to explain the purpose of the application and hearing and to present their staff report. Then the applicant or their agent will have a chance to speak to this application. Then members of the public who have registered to participate will be asked for their comments and questions. I ask that you please give your name and address so that all the comments can be reflected in the minutes. The municipal clerk will provide any additional comments received from circulated agencies and the public not included in the planning report. Then members of the committee will have an opportunity to ask questions of the applicant and or staff. And then finally, we will consider motions regarding the applications that are presented. So the first item up is an application for minor variance, file number A40, 2021, and Dan Fitzgerald, who's our planner, will present the planning report. The floor is yours, Dan.
Through the chair, thanks, Mayor and members of the committee. So the purpose and effect of the application for minor variance tonight is to seek relief from Middlesex Center's zoning bylaw, as it does relate to the maximum permissible gross floor area for accessory buildings that are located in urban residential first density exception UR1-3 zone. So in this case, the applicant is requesting a maximum size for all accessory buildings in the lands of 60.9 square meters, or equivalent to 3.3% lot coverage, whereas the zoning bylaw permits a maximum size of the lesser of 50 square meters of gross floor area, or 3% lot coverage, which in this particular case would be a maximum permissible size of 50 square meters due to lot size. So the effect of the proposal is to facilitate the construction of one additional accessory building, which is intended to act as a detached garage, as well as to permit the continued use of an existing accessory building that is used as a shed. So hopefully everyone can see the location map. So the subject property is located at 22783 Kamoka Road in Kamoka. The land in question has a frontage of approximately 30.5 meters on Kamoka Road and an area of approximately 0.45 acres. The subject lands, again, are located in Kamoka. They're surrounded on all sides by residentially designated lands with existing single detached dwellings to the north, east, and south, and vacant residential designated lands to the west, which is currently subject to draft plan approval of subdivision. It is designated settlement area in Middlesex County official plan, residential in Middlesex Center's official plan, and again is zoned a urban residential first density exception UR1-3 zone in the bylaw. So as per the minor variance request, the applicant is seeking to increase the maximum permissible size by 10.9 square meters, which is also representative of a request for an additional 0.3% lot coverage. So we did not receive any comments from the public during circulation of the application. As well, we did not receive any negative or any concerns or objections from agencies as well as internal departments. So staff note that the intent of the applicant is to construct one new accessory building, which is located at the rear of the property for the stated purpose of vehicle storage. So as noted in the planning report, the proposal does meet the intent of the 4 tests of the Planning Act. Given the above, and as indicated in the report, I am recommending that the minor variance application A40-2021 be approved.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. Did the applicants want to make any comment before or raise any points before we move on to the committee? I don't think so. No. Okay. There were no additional comments received by the clerk, so I'll look to the committee for any questions. No one has any? No? Okay, I have a couple. I wanted just to clarify, so the building is labeled as the new garage, and I'm wondering, does that mean we're going to have another driveway that runs along the side of the house in that 4.87 meters to the north of the building, the far side of the building?
Through the chair, they did not indicate that on their application form. However, they would be subject to zoning bylaw regulations, which only allow for one driveway access to a property within a 30-meter frontage. So in this particular case, they would only be permitted one driveway access onto Kamoka Road.
Okay, and then there's a whole row of trees at the back of the property, and I saw that the distance that is given for the current playhouse building on the south side, or like the southwest corner there, that piece there is 2.2, and the distance for the new garage is 1.52. And I thought, are we taking trees down too along the back? I was just concerned about that a little bit, because I don't know if the residents are aware of the application that's the proposals for their backyard coming down the pipeline. So they're fairly mature kind of green tree evergreens too. So I wasn't sure about, maybe they'll just cut the branches down to get it close enough.
Yes, through the chair, they didn't indicate on their application that their intent was to remove any trees from the existing property. However, if that is a concern of the committee, we could consider the addition of a condition to the consent that basically no trees
Well,
of a
there-
certain caliber would be removed.
Sorry, I'm not so much, I mean, the trees are theirs. If they wish to take them down, I think that's their right and their prerogative to do that. But I just wondered if they were aware of the fact that they're going to have residences in their quote backyard. And I wasn't sure about setbacks and so forth, but it's not a big deal. It was just more, I guess, curiosity or wondering whether or not they know what's coming down the pipeline, and if they did want to remove trees to put the building there, that they were aware of that. So that's okay. These are not really germane to making a decision about whether or not they should have the building. So I'll look to, I'll read the motion and I'll look to the committee to approve that then, or to deny that as they wish. So the motion before us is that the minor variance application A40/2021 filed by Denise Pallister for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to establish a maximum size of 60.9 square meters or 3.3% lot coverage, whereas the zoning bylaw permits a maximum size of lesser of 50 square meters of gross floor area or 3% lot coverage for the property legally described as part of Lot 4, Concession 3 in the municipality of Middlesex Centre, County of Middlesex, be granted subject to the following condition: that the location be substantially in accordance with the plans attached to this report and decision, and that the reasons for granting the minor variance application are that it complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Centre's official plan and the comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is relatively minor in nature and it represents appropriate development on the subject property. Mover, Councillor Cates and Councillor Heffernan, all in favor? Opposed? Oh, sorry, that's right. Conflict of interest. You weren't opposed, were you? Okay, so that motion is carried then. All right, and now we can move to 9.2, which is another minor variance application. And again, Dan, it is your report to present.
Through the chair, so the purpose and effect of minor variance application A41-2021 is to expand a legal non-conforming use on the subject lands, that being an expansion of an existing residential dwelling. As well, the variance also considers a reduction to the required interior side yard setback for commercially zoned property that does abut a residential property. In this case, would be abutting a residential property on the west boundary, which is 13206 Ilderton Road. And the effect of the application is to permit an addition to an existing single detached dwelling on the subject lands. So the subject property, again, is located at 13210 Ilderton Road in the settlement area of Ilderton. It maintains an area of approximately 0.19 acres in area and a frontage of approximately 22 meters on Ilderton Road. It's located on the north side of Ilderton Road, just west of the intersection at King in Ilderton. It's bordered by residential properties to the north and west, and commercially zoned lands to the east as well as the south. It's designated settlement area in the county official plan, village center in Middlesex Center's official plan, and it's zoned a village commercial exception C1-1 zone in the bylaw. So the subject property historically has contained an existing single detached dwelling. The current zoning of the property does not permit residential dwelling units as the main use on the ground floor. As an existing non-conforming use, section 4.20 of the bylaw allows existing permitted uses to continue to be used until such time as the use ceases on the lands. Additionally, it only permits the existing dwelling and does not contemplate any expansions thereof. The owner's agent has applied to expand the non-conforming use in the format of an addition to the existing home. So as proposed, the addition would contemplate adding approximately 186 square meters or 2,000 square feet in the format of an attached garage, indoor living space, and covered deck on the rear of the property. Therefore, the application has been submitted to expand the legal non-conforming single detached dwelling to include a larger building footprint. So, and as well, additionally, the applicant has also applied to reduce the interior side yard setback required for the village commercial C1 zone to 2.86 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum distance of 6 meters where commercially zoned property abuts a residentially zoned property. So with that said, no comments were received from the public during circulation of the application, and I did not receive any objections from any agencies as well as internal departments. As noted in the planning report, the applicant has applied to expand the legal non-conforming use in that the single detached dwelling are not permitted as a standalone use in the village commercial zone. The proposal is considered to meet the intent of the official plan, as the designation does permit residential in addition to commercial, subject to site suitability. Given the context of the existing area, a residential use would be in keeping with the existing character of the neighborhood, meaning it could be considered appropriate. Additionally, I am of the opinion that the expansion would not be in conflict with the zoning bylaw, as the use legally exists on the lands as it currently stands. Finally, I would consider the use minor, as the number of legal non-conforming uses on the subject lands would not change in association with permission of the expanded dwelling. So given the above, I am recommending, I am of the opinion that the proposal does meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act, and recommend that the application be approved.
Okay, thank you for that report. I understand the applicant is available and would like to speak to the application.
Good evening.
Hello, Nancy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to concur with the comments that Dan had made, and certainly look for favorable approval from the council. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, there were no additional comments submitted to the clerk, so I can look to the committee. Are there any questions from anyone? I don't see. Oh, sorry, Councillor Heffernan.
I was just going to make a comment on the site plan. It indicates a 2-story house, and it is only 1 story, which has been there forever. So, no.
Okay. So, other comments, questions? All right. Double check this time before I whip my head around to the wrong side. Okay, so the motion before us is that minor variance application A41 2021 filed by Nancy Manning on behalf of Robert Manning and Chelsea Passmore in order to expand a legal non-conforming use to permit an addition to an existing single detached dwelling on the property and to permit a reduced interior side yard setback of 2.86 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum distance of 6 meters for a property municipally known as 13210 Ilderton Road be granted. And that the reason for granting the variance include that the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Centre's official plan and zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Could I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Shipley, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, thank you. And now number 9.3, which is again Dan's report. You can go ahead. Oh, sorry. It is. Not at all. It's okay. Yes. Marion, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the committee. Monteith Brown, any consultants have applied for a minor variance on behalf of, Palumbo Development Inc. for the lands known as 175 Stone Drive and Block 126. I will just share my screen very quickly. Okay, so the purpose of this report is to provide the committee of adjustment with recommendation with regard to the minor variance application. As you can see on the map, the properties are located on the north side of Stone Drive and south side of Glendon Drive and east of east of Crestview Drive in the Kilworth Heights West subdivision in Kilworth. The lands are bordered by commercially zoned parcel to the west, low and medium density residential lands to the south and to the east, as well as future development located on the north side of Glendon Drive. So the lands are designated medium density residential and zoned urban residential third density exception 9. The applicant is seeking relief from the zoning related to the minimum rear yard setback, the maximum lot coverage, as well as the front yard setbacks as noted in the planning report. The lands are a total of 8.57 acres in area and have frontage and access to Doan Drive directly. The site-specific variances are requested to reflect the approved site plan and the approved plan of condominium. At the time of approval of the plans, the site detail showed compliance with the zoning bylaw based on the interpretation that the zoning is applied to the entirety of the blocks. However, in Middlesex Center, when it comes to vacant land condominiums, the zoning is applied to each unit or each lot for on the lands. As a result of the variances, no significant changes are made to the approved site plan, the location of the units, or the number of the units. Notice of the application was circulated to the public as well as agencies and municipal staff. At the time of writing this report, we did not receive any comments from the public. Additionally, at the time of writing the report, the chief building official had indicated he had no concerns with this proposal. The county engineer did review the application as a result of the increased setback to Glendon Drive. He had no concerns as long as the land dedication outlined in the site plan and plan of condominium was maintained. Staff reviewed the application against the 4 tests of the minor variance, and staff is of the opinion that the variance can be considered minor in nature since the impact of the variance does not change the approved use or the built form on the lands. Additionally, the front yard setbacks to Doan Drive and Glendon are reduced by 0.5 meters or half a meter to account for a bump out as a result of a wider internal driveway and a feature that contains living space. Staff consider this request satisfactory as it helps achieve the pedestrian-oriented development along the roadways. Additionally, the rear yard, the lot coverage, and the front yard setbacks are considered minor as it reflects the existing plan and does not result in any changes to the building layout or the siting of the buildings, and does not result in the loss of any common or amenity area for the residents. All the requested variances are not anticipated to have any negative impacts surrounding the commercial on the surrounding commercial or residential uses, nor impact the planned function of Doan Drive or Glendon Drive. The variances are an appropriate use of the land as the variances would reflect the approved and proposed development of the medium density residential blocks, and the variance will not alter the use of the land, nor alter the use of the planned function for the medium density residential designation. And finally, the variance maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw. Staff consider the variance request and appropriate, and they do not alter the function of the setback or the lot coverage, and continue to provide adequate living space. Staff does not anticipate any negative impacts that would result from the variances or the proposed reductions, and are satisfied that the variances would maintain the general intent of the zoning bylaw. Given the aforementioned, staff is of the opinion that the application meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act, and staff recommend approval of the application. Additionally, where there are changes to the site plan, staff recommend that the site plan agreement be amended to the satisfaction of the municipality as needed, noting the reduced setbacks to Doan Drive and to Glendon. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this.
Thank you for that report, Marion. The applicant has not registered to speak the application, and neither has the clerk received any comments. So I can ask, are there questions of the committee? No questions from the committee? Okay. Then the motion before us is that minor variance application A4221 filed by Monteith Brown Planning Consultants on behalf of 2638477 Ontario Limited for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaws as printed in our package in item sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. And further that, as a result of the minor variance application A4221, the approved site plan agreement be amended to the satisfaction of the municipality. And further that, the reasons for granting the minor variance application A4221 include that the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center official plan and the zoning bylaw, that the request is minor in nature, and that the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Do I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Cates, Deputy Mayor Brennan, all in favor? Thank you. All in favor is passed. Okay, that takes us to the end of the Committee of Adjustment. We now have public meetings. I just need to note that please email planning@middlesexcenter.on.ch, submit requests to participate. Any questions in regards to the applications that follow should be directed to the appropriate planner on file. So now I'll call for a motion to move into the planning meeting. And it is that the Committee of Adjustment reconvene as council to move into planning public meetings as pursuant to the Planning Act RSO 1990, as amended, to consider the following applications listed on the December 15, 2021 agenda. Mover, Councillor Shipley and Councillor Heffernan, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. So again, members of the public that are participating virtually in this evening's public meeting have previously provided notification to the clerk in advance of this meeting. If anyone wishes to receive further notification on anything being considered tonight, you may email planning@middlesexcenter.on.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that any comments expressed in written material presented are a matter of public record. If you have questions on any of the applications that you will hear this evening, we ask that you direct those to the appropriate planner on file. Everyone who has requested to speak will have a maximum of 5 minutes to address council and provide comments on the applications. And again, in keeping with our procedural bylaw and our zone policy, I please remind everyone to use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. The order of proceedings is the same as before. I'll ask the planner to explain the report and the purpose of the application. The applicant, or their agent has the opportunity to speak to it. The public will be asked for comments and questions. And again, I remind everyone to state your name and address so that we can properly reflect your comments in the minutes. The committee will then have an opportunity to ask questions, and then I will ask for motions regarding those applications. So the first item up tonight is an application for zoning bylaw amendment at 10 Mile Road. Marion is the planner on that file, and if you'd like to present the report, Marion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to Council. The municipality received a zoning bylaw amendment application for temporary use for the lands known as 13277 10 Mile Road. The purpose of this report is to make a recommendation on the requested rezoning for temporary use to permit the construction of a new single detached dwelling while living in the existing single detached dwelling on the property. The temporary use would only apply for a period of up to 3 years, and upon expiration or completion of the new dwelling, the existing residence will need to be removed. The lands are located on the south side of 10 Mile Road and west of Hyde Park Road, just south of the community of Ilderton. The subject lands are approximately 4.74 acres in area and contain a single detached dwelling, garage, and shop. The property has private services and is surrounded by agricultural lands. Additionally, on the north side of 10 Mile Road is within the boundary of the community of Ilderton, which is vacant of development right now, but may be developed in the future. The requested application is generally consistent with the policies of the PPS County Official Plan and Middlesex Center Official Plan as it relates to permitting single-family dwellings on agricultural lands. The application was circulated to area residents, agencies, and staff. Staff did not receive any comments or feedback from the public nor from any staff. So the CBO, noted no concerns with the application. Additionally, Public Works and Engineering have requested that the applicant submit a deposit of $10,000 and enter into an agreement with the municipality to ensure the removal of the existing residence once occupancy is provided for the new residents. As such, planning staff determined that the requested zoning bylaw amendment for a temporary use zone for a period of 3 years is consistent with all applicable policies, including the Middlesex Center Official Plan. As such, staff recommend that the application be approved and that the owner enter into a temporary use agreement with the municipality, and that will require the removal of the existing dwelling and submit a deposit of $10,000 to the municipality. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you for that report. Okay, I've got noted that Elizabeth Breeze, who is Speaking on behalf of Russell James Vanderheiden is on the line and is prepared to speak to the application.
Hi there, thank you for having us. We were just looking to get approval to build our forever home on the property while we live in the current home. And hopefully after that's all done and built, we will get rid of the current home that we are living in while we build.
Okay, thank you for that. If there are any members of the public who are attending virtually and who would like to comment on this application, if you would please use your raise hand feature now, then you would have an opportunity to speak. Okay, we've confirmed there are no individuals who'd like to address us. Does the council have any comments or questions? Seeing none, then we have a motion before us that the zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 19/2021 for a temporary use zone filed by Elizabeth Rees on behalf of Russell James Vanderheiden to permit 2 single detached dwellings on one property for up to 3 years to allow a new residence to be constructed on the land known as 13277 10 Mile Road be approved, and that the owner be required to enter into a temporary use agreement with the municipality and submit a deposit of $10,000 to ensure the removal of the existing residence. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Arts and Councillor Shipley, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, everyone. All righty. And now we can move to 10.2, which is the request to remove holding symbols for 9661 Ivan Drive. Marion, that is your report to present.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to Council. The municipality received the zoning bylaw amendment application to remove the holding symbols from the land known as 9661 Ivan Drive. So the removal of the holding symbols, which are H2, H3, and H8, would permit a farm wedding venue on the portion of the lands as highlighted on the location map. The precondition to remove the holding symbol H2 is to enter into a development agreement with the municipality. A site plan agreement was approved by council on November 24th, 2021. As such, clears that condition. The precondition to remove the H3 is to provide a noise impact analysis in association with the site plan approval, and recommendations are incorporated into the site plan. So a noise study was completed and submitted to the municipality for review. And in the memorandum provided by the engineer, it was determined that the predicted sound levels meet the MPC sound level limits for all surrounding noise sensitive receptors. Therefore, no adverse effects or impacts were anticipated from the wedding venue proposed on the property. The study was accepted by the municipality, and since the results of the study did not recommend any mitigation measures, none were added to the site plan agreement. As such, staff were satisfied that this precondition was fulfilled as well. And finally, the precondition to remove the holding symbol of H8 is to obtain a license under the farm, wedding, or events bylaw. The municipality did establish a procedure for review of on-farm wedding venues, which was effective of March 2021. The purpose of the manual is to set up an internal procedure for proposed on-farm wedding venues, set up municipal requirements, and establish areas of interest that need to be protected for the municipality, the public, and participants. The chief building official did confirm that the procedural manual meets the intent of the holding H8 symbol on the property. As a result of the aforementioned, planning staff are satisfied that all the 3 preconditions have been met by the applicant and recommend that the holding symbols be removed from the lands known as 9661 Ivan Drive. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you for that report. The applicants have not registered to speak, but if there are any members of the public who are attending virtually who would like to comment on the application, if you would please use the raise hand feature now, and we'll call on you then. Thank you. There are none who wish to speak. So the motion before us is that the request by Zelenko Priamo on behalf of Nottingwood Inc. to remove the H2, H3, and H8 holding symbols from the zoning of the land known municipally as 9661 Ivan Drive, Middlesex Center be approved. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Arts and Councillor Cates, all in favor? Thank you, and that is carried. Next, we have a consent application, and Dan will be presenting our report. It's with regard to 1296 Ilderton Road. Go ahead, Dan.
Through the chair to the mayor and members of council, the purpose and effect of consent application B17/2021 is to sever a parcel of land for a lot addition purpose, having an area of approximately 0.27 acres, which is proposed to be merged with an abutting lot, which is municipally known as 12936 Ilderton Road. The lot addition would add to an existing lot with an area of approximately 0.31 acres, making the combined lot area approximately 0.6 acres in total. The lands receiving the lot addition contain a single detached dwelling and accessory building, and is serviced by private septic and well services. The land to be retained would be approximately 41.3 hectares or 102.4 acres, and contain a single detached dwelling, agricultural buildings, and agricultural land, which is used for crop production. Hopefully everyone can see that there. The land is designated agricultural area in Middlesex County's official plan, agricultural in Middlesex Center's official plan, and is zoned agricultural A1 zone in Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. So on the map that you can see here, the land is identified in the yellow bordered area, which basically fronts on into the one side, the existing lot that is kind of wedged in front of that as well. So as noted in the purpose and effect, the applicant is requesting the minor variance, a consent for a minor boundary adjustment to add land to the existing lot area for technical purposes, in this case, of providing a minimum sufficient lot size to allow for proper sanitary disposal on the property. As noted in the planner's report, the proposal is considered consistent with the provincial policy statement and meets the general intent of both the county official plan and local official plan, as minor boundary adjustments are permitted for technical reasons. As a note, the application proposes to alter the lot area of both the subject lands as well as the abutting lands, which the subject lands will no longer be an existing lot of record. So a minor variance application will be required to recognize the undersized nature of the lands. So any concerns, and that has been included as a condition or a recommended condition of this application. And any concerns raised during the circulation of the application have been addressed as additional conditions of consent. So given the above, planning staff are recommending that consent application B17/2021 be approved, subject to the conditions as listed in the report. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. I have noted that the applicant and agent have not registered to speak on the application. Again, if there are any members of the public attending virtually who would like to comment on the application, please use your raise hand feature now. Okay, there are none. And just before okay, well, I'll look to council. Are there any questions? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Cates.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Dan. I'm just partially curious because it went right past me on what's the minor variance part? Who does that apply to? The big parcel of land or the little parcel of land?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Cates. So in this particular instance, the existing lot, or like the 0.3 acre lot, which the house is located on, is considered basically an existing lot of record, which is legally non-complying with the minimum lot size requirements and frontage of the zoning bylaw. So in this instance, because they are changing the area and frontage of that lot, they have to recognize the fact that they are legally non-compliant, which means that they have to seek a minor variance to allow them to have a reduced lot area as well as a reduced lot frontage. from the A1 zone. So it would only, so yeah, just for further clarification, it would only be applicable to, the minor variance would only be applicable to the lands receiving the requested boundary adjustment, not the severed lands, so the larger agricultural parcel.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Councillor Heffernan?
Through the mayor to Dan, condition number 9. So that is for 18 meters from the center line. And that goes around the perimeter of the farm property as well, correct?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct.
Okay, so where the existing lot is right now, for that 18 meters, how far in would that go?
Through the chair, I don't specifically know how far that will go in, only because we don't have a surveyed reference plan at this point in time. However, based on my initial rough calculations, it was approximately 3 meters, I believe, in this case, 3 meters on County Road 16, and I believe it was close to 5 meters on County Road 20.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, and I just wanted to make sure, so typically when we look at a consent, we're severing a property from a farm, like a house or a residence or some kind of building from an existing farm property. And I understand that this is small, but I guess the question that might be asked of us is, well, if I want to expand my area on an existing property, then I can get a severance to make it bigger. But the foundation of this whole, so if you want to build a swimming pool, we're not going to be giving you a larger lot, for example, because in this case, not only is less than it's required, one of our policy pieces is that we require an area for a secondary septic area, which this property doesn't have. So this is actually making a lot properly habitable and meeting all requirements, as opposed to expanding a 0.31 acre property for a pool or something. And as it is, I mean, we have lots of severances that we've done that exceed 0.6 acres as well. So this checks the box in terms of why it's happening, to make sure that it's in compliance with all kinds of rules that are required if you're going to have a home on a property. Does that kind of summarize it?
Through the to me, yeah, that's correct. So in this particular instance, we did work quite closely with the applicant to determine what the appropriate lot size would be for them. I know initially they had requested more land be included. However, the technical justification in the official plan, both in the county official plan and the local official plan, is that the test for consent in agricultural areas is limited to no impact on the agricultural viability of lands. However, it does provide leniency for instances of technical circumstances. So in this particular instance, the lot size was so small that they weren't able to contain a contingency area for their existing sanitary system. So we basically worked with them and with their engineer to determine what that minimum lot size requirement would be to obtain that contingency area, which happened to be 0.6 acres in this particular instance. So that's all we were willing to allow for the expansion, to basically limit the potential impact onto loss of agricultural lands.
Right. So it's exactly what is required. And if anyone asks about that, we can explain that to everybody very concisely. Okay, appreciate all the work on the file there. We don't have any other questions, so I'll read the motion and we can move this item along. So the motion is that consent application B17-2021 filed by Kyle Davis on behalf of Reese Evans in order to sever and convey a lot addition of 1,119.2 square meters parcel of land from Ilderton 1296 Ilderton Road to an existing property known municipally as 12936 Ilderton Road from a property legally described as part of Lot 28, Concession 11 South in Middlesex, in the County of Middlesex, Municipality Middlesex Center be granted. And there are a total of 11 conditions, and the application is subject to those. And further, the reasons for denying the consent application 1720. What does it say denying? Yes, you do. I did, yeah, I'm just checking, I'm not, yep. Sorry, I should have said here that we are approving the consent application B17-2021. And the reasons are that the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement. The proposal conforms to the County of Middlesex official plan and the Middlesex Center official plan, and subject to the conditions, the proposal would comply with the Middlesex Center comprehensive zoning bylaw. Do we have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Heffernan, Councillor Shipley, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you for that. And now item 10.4, it has just been communicated to me that this item has been moved to the February 16th, 2021 meeting, and we will be looking at that application on that evening. So your agenda says it's, oh, sorry, 22. Yes, the odometer clicks over soon. Yeah, so that date that we have there for January 12th has been amended to February 16th. Okay. So we need a motion now to rise to planning meetings, and it is that council rise to public meetings and return to an open session at 6:53 p.m. Councillor Cates and Councillor Scott, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you to all the planning department. And now there are no notices of motion. We have a number of correspondence items. Is there anything that anyone wants to comment on or question there? Okay, I don't see any. So the motion before us is that correspondence items 12.1 through 12.5 be received as information. And a mover, Deputy Mayor Brennan and Councillor Scott, all in favor? And that is carried. Do we have an update? We do this time, don't we? Yeah. Yes.
Very quickly, Madam Mayor, the first on agenda, most people already know, but we did elect a new county warden at this meeting, and it is the mayor from Thames Center, Alison Warwick. It will be the new warden for the year 2021-2022. And so that has been passed, and she's already had her first meeting, so she is the warden. The county city liaison committee has a committee that works together, and the past warden, Kathy Burkhart Jessen, was appointed as our representative from the county on that committee. The economic and tourism division has just developed a new strategic plan for 2021 to 2025, so they will be dealing with that. They've handed out things at some sessions, handed out safety kits, sanitizers, face masks, and that sort of thing. A lot of talk about homelessness and projects ongoing within the city and outside the city. There's approximately 6,000 people in London seeking social housing, and the city only has 3,000 units available. There's $16.6 million in London Middlesex being put forward in social housing for 8,600 units in the upcoming years. There's not a lot going on out in the county right now, but hopefully there'll be more happening in the future. There's 140 businesses involved in the grassroots mapping. You know, little signs you see around the county saying grassroots with arrows this way. doesn't necessarily mean that's where it is. 'Cause my new barn is not involved in that. But there's mapping that indicates there's 140 destination places within the county to go. Other than that, as I said, there's a lot of talk about social housing and things like that, and that's going to be an ongoing thing in the future. But basically, that was the bulk of it that way.
Thank you for that report, Deputy Mayor. Any questions for the deputy? Okay, seeing none, we can move then to bylaws, and I'm going to read them as amended. So the okay, I have a new version that the bylaws 2021, 117 and 118 be adopted as amended. Those refer to the changes that we made to the budget piece, and that bylaws 2021 number 114 through 124 be adopted as printed. If I could have a mover, please, in a second. Councillor Cates and Deputy Mayor Brennan, all in favor? And thank you, that is carried. And final motion for 2021 will be that the council for the municipality of Middlesex Centre adjourns the December 15th, 2021 council meeting at 6:58 p.m. Councillor Shipley and Councillor Arts, thank you.
And Madam Mayor, just before we leave, I would like to echo your comments at the start of the meeting. My congratulations to my counterparts on council and staff for a year well done. We certainly appreciate it, and I know Middlesex County has a lot of respect throughout the county. Our Middlesex Center has a lot of respect throughout the county because of the work that our staff is doing and leading the way. And so, very difficult year for staff. They came through it with shining colors. Michael, I hope you pass that on to your staff members, that we do appreciate what they've done. And I must say it's been an extreme pleasure for me these last 3 years to work with this council. It's been a joy, and I look forward to the next year, and thank the mayor and Michael for their leadership. Thank you very much.
And the feeling is mutual. So with that, then at 6:59, change that. And if I could have a mover and a second for that motion, please. Councillor Shipley and Deputy Mayor Brennan, all in favor? Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone. Be safe, enjoy, and we will see you next year.